So good afternoon, everyone. Um, Brandy, are you ready? Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Peloton, and I'm with Community Futures Select Labish. So for today, we have my colleague here, Brandy Hardy from Community Futures Tabatna region in Westland. She will be presenting content creation and management for businesses. Brandy?
Hi, so I've done this one a couple times. I've never done it online. So I'm going to go through a slideshow here, and then I'm hoping to show you a few websites that I like using. Just more so of you guys know, my Zoom screen's on this side, so when I'm looking this way, it's because I'm looking at the Zoom screen. My presentation's in front of me, so I'm not staring off into the wilderness. I find that happens sometimes. So I'm with Swatna Region. I work in the Westlaw County area. We have a bunch of different areas. Lac La Biche is one of our other offices. So John asked me to do some presentations for you guys. So this is a little bit about what we do. So we're a nonprofit organization that helps to build economic diversity in rural regions. We have, I feel like there's 17 offices here in Alberta, something like that. We do training, we do networking events, we do business loans, we do coaching, we do all kinds of different stuff. So if you're in John's region, contact him. If you're not, 26 offices. I was close. Um, if you're not in John's region, you can reach out. There's a bunch of offices depending on the areas you live to be able to reach out and get some assistance. So this is kind of what we're hoping to cover today, understanding content mediums and topics, creating original content, and beginning a content calendar is what I'm hoping to cover for you guys today. Conquering social media. So a big thing about conquering social media is it seems like a daunting task. It does take some time and effort, I'm not going to lie, to be able to do it all. So keep that in mind. It is not a quick and easy thing. It does take a little bit of research and a little bit of thought process. Making time. It is a huge part of content creation is making time for it. Usually the best way to do it is kind of book yourself a time slot. My personal time slot that I usually do is Monday mornings, first thing in the morning. That's what I find works best for me here. For you, of course, that might not work. So it's finding that time frame to be able to work and making time for it. Big thing is defining your goals. So what are you trying to do? Are you trying to reach a wider audience? Are you trying to target specific areas? Are you engaging to sell? What are you trying to do? Posting specific content helps for your strategy. Posting theme days is super handy if you're like, I have no idea what to write. So an example, us here, we also run a social media group as well for small businesses, and we have something called Toot Your Own Horn Tuesdays. What that is a place for small businesses to post and be able to basically toot their own horn about their business. Another good theme day, which is always quick and easy depending on what you do, is Motivational Mondays. We also like doing a Monday. Ours is a little bit different from Monday, but ours is usually has something to do with coffee for a Monday morning, which tends to work well for us. If you guys do contests, they always work well, live events, or anything to that effect. Metrics that you can measure it all by is engagement, followers, likes, comments, that type of thing. Depending on the content, it could be downloads, conversions as well, which is a big one. So selling in particular. Gathering your sources is a big one. So figuring out where all your sources are coming from. Are you using stuff you've made yourself? Are you using other stuff from other places? Are you creating your own videos, that type of thing? Monitoring your responses and your engagements is always important. Tagging things. So if you work with other places, tagging them, likes, asking questions, answering questions. Creating your own branded content. So making sure your content, if you're creating it yourself, is branded and very consistent. So an example that I like using is whenever we here create events for our Eventbrite or courses or anything, I try and keep them the same. The only thing that's different is usually we have a banner at the very bottom of it and it changes color, which is more so for us. is different areas that we go to. So it changes slightly for that reason. The rest of it all stays the same. Scheduling the weekly, monthly posts, and digging into your metrics, seeing what's working is another big part of it. So here's a good idea of what's kind of out there. So images, of course, are always good. They're eye-catching. Anything funny, tips, quotes, that type of thing is always works well, we find. You can do videos, so testimonials, it could be stories, it could be educational purposes. So you could be, example, I just had a meeting not too long ago with a client that is a eyeglass store. And they're doing bigger content videos about talking about getting good eyeglasses and different kind of things and other stuff they do there. And it was a bigger video that they were doing. We actually talked about breaking it down to making it more content. So instead of doing like a 5-minute per video, she's now doing 5 1-minute videos and stretching them out across the week. So for more content. So the stuff like that for educational purposes. Testimonials are good. So if you run a business where you need a testimonial from a client, those are always good to throw up. They can be quick and easy, which is super nice. You can also share other people's things. Nothing wrong with that. It could be blog posts, current events that are related to your business, of course, which is always super good. We don't touch much on it, but there is podcasts. I've never had any of my clients do podcasts, but they're big, of course. And websites and blogs are another big one. So blogs are a good one to get educational content and other things out there with things called keywords to bring people to your website to read about your stuff as well. So it works for other purposes. Memes are a good one. Everybody sees them. They're usually unique and funny. You can find them fairly easily. The big thing is if they are branded to a particular name, they usually cannot. It is suggested to not reuse those ones, but if you find one with no brand on it, or you create your own, which is, if you're smart enough and funny enough, I'm not, to create your own memes, nothing wrong with that. It is more and more popular memes, especially with the video content side of things. So you see that lots nowadays as well. So I like this little tidbit. This is kind of where the word came from. It's cultural purposes, mostly. Nowadays, cultural wasn't norm back then. For spreading information on the internet and usually in creative or humorous ways. The other part that's kind of interesting, why I put it on here, is it was first recorded in actually 1976 from a Greek word. So it was actually been around a lot longer than I ever thought when I started digging into this, which I thought was interesting. Memes for marketing. Consider your audience, of course, which is always part of marketing, knowing the origin. So that's what I was talking about when, as an example, you can see this guy right here comes from a specific one. And that's why I used him. So you can see what I mean by branding. Something called meme hijacking is big. So that's what basically this is stealing other people's memes. Liking, commenting, and sharing on other memes. So you can share another meme to your posts as well. Nothing wrong with that. If, like I said, if you're funny enough, creating your own original memes is always good as well. The more original, the better. They're easy to create. They are easy to consume, so people love them. They share them. You see that fairly often. They do share very, very well. They're usually relatable to your audience. They are familiar. Most common, they are funny, witty, clever, that type of thing. So that's where they're big. We find something cute, like animals, do really, really well, and something funny does really, really well as your other content. As I stated, humans and animals, babies are a big one. Anything like that tends to do well. Popular sayings in movies. So this one's a little bit older, but it was very, very popular. It's still used quite a bit, same as the previous one. Most common you see them are characters from movies and TV shows and stuff. There are usually popular and very classic, and they're in that moment is the big thing. So it usually tends to put out new ones that you see when something big is happening around, and there's lots. getting talked about for it. So that's the most common one I see a huge uptick in. GIFs are good. They're not as common nowadays, but they can still be useful. This is an example. I made a cute little dinosaur because I wanted something simple. You can use it for all kinds of stuff. They're pretty simple to make. You upload them as a video to your social media. It's a GIF is what they actually call it, but you upload it as a video. So it is a still photograph that basically you pop in little things to make it move flat is the easy way to explain it. So the word GIF actually come from, which is again one of those little interesting things that I found when I started creating this guy, was the name GIF actually came from the phrase choosy moms choose GIF. They just changed the G, which I thought was kind of funny. So an example of a GIF that you could use, this one was made via Canva. I made it myself for this purpose. Is this in particular is something like this. So all I did was found in my case, I found a product picture because I have no products. And I put these two little things on there. Basically, I animated them in Canva to make that pop, and it makes that picture show up a little bit better for your audience, of course. You want a call to action, of course. So if you did something like this, a new product, you'd want a call to action like check it out on our website and have your website link as an example. They are a lot cheaper to make than videos if you're looking at something really simple as well, which is nice. And they don't take much to do. This took me a couple minutes. Of course, it might take you longer. Nothing wrong with that. Videos. So this is the most common that you're seeing more and more other than pictures is videos. So 93% of companies have acquired new customers via social media videos. Most common that you see nowadays is short form, which you see there's YouTube shorts, there's TikToks, there's Instagram reels, there's also reels on Facebook as your kind of top ones. And that's where you see most of the videos nowadays. 66% of customers report that short form videos, so they're smaller clips, are more engaging type of social media. So that's why they're beginning to be a lot more popular. Most people like it a little bit more. So this is a video I'm going to show you guys. Hopefully my audio works. I think I have it set up right. If not, I will fix it. This one, all my videos on here, I'll be honest, most of them are YouTube videos. But the point of them is the simplicity of them at the same time. So this one example I really like. It's a really funny Heinz commercial, actually. This is, of course, high-end. I'm not expecting high-end from anybody, but it kind of gives you an idea of what can be out there. It can be simple and funny. It doesn't have to be anything amazing. Okay.
Idea for a Heinz ketchup commercial. I was at this super posh restaurant, super posh, the type of place that has chandeliers and paintings on the wall and way too many forks. I think classical music was playing, but maybe it was jazz. No, definitely classical. The hostess walks up to me and she said, "Mr. Sheeran, is this your first time dining with us?" And I say, "Yep." The waiter comes over. He's telling me about specials. Super fancy vegetables, fancy sauces. I said, "Sounds fancy." So fast forward and the food comes. The waiter goes on to tell me, "We are proud to present this farm to table, blah, 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 posh and fancy, blah, 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 with a side, blah, blah, blah." You know, the food looked good. I just thought there was something missing. So I reach into my bag and I take out the only thing that can complete me. At that point, the whole world came to a stop. And the waiter was screaming through his eyes. So that's my idea. Do you want to do it?
Oh yeah. So that's an example of a really funny one. I loved it because it was very simplistic. It was basically a video that they did a voiceover in the end. So yes, it's high-end production, all that stuff, but you can make something simple like that. So an example of something like that that you could do on your side, especially if you have products or anything like that, is the way that I think of it, is you could take a video of a bunch of products and then do a voiceover in it, explaining what the products kind of are or that type of thing. So something like that is very easily capable. You can go simplistic like that, which nothing wrong with it. Perfectly fine. It gives them a little bit of info on everything. You could even do a video similar idea where basically you're showing your product or whatever it happens to be and you're talking about that product. If you do more of services, you can show show the areas that you do services if that's the scenario, and then explain it a little bit and stuff. So this one I liked. Again, it touches more on the cuteness. Yes, again, they're commercials. I can't make videos of everything to be able to show you guys, so I did have to take some. Content production and quality, biggest thing that I always say is do what you can. If you don't have anything extensive, you don't have anything extensive. A lot of people think I have to go all out. You don't. You can keep it simple. Nothing wrong with that. It's whatever you need to use is what works. If you can throw in your, of course, your HTML, which is your website, if that's the scenario, or it could be your Facebook page. If you can or know how, throw your logo on it. That's always a good thing. The other part, I know it says lighten up in there, and I can say that is hard. I have been running our TikToks here for probably a year and a half, and it took me a bit, which I do have some examples of as well. The other thing that you could do is pose in a question. I've done that a few times. It works well. You pose it a question and hopefully, doesn't always work, but hopefully you get a bunch of comments and answers to that question, which engages people in your content. Oops. Oops. Let's
There are two ways they can add apps to your
go back. Hold on. Wrong button. Oh yeah. So this one is just kind of that cute, funny, same idea. Again, I'm not expecting this type of thing. It's just to show you different variations of videos out there. So the reason that I like showing that one in particular is because they don't actually talk in the video. They have a music over. So the reason that I like showing this one is because of that. So if you're a person who isn't a huge fan of talking a whole bunch, you can do something simple where you show your product or your service or whatever the case may be and just have music over it. So again, you don't have to make it extensively crazy. You can make it simple. And that's why I show these videos. Yes, they're high end again, but the simplicity of them is what I'm trying to explain. So this one I just like. It's a classic commercial is why I wanted to show everyone. So it's one of those where if you have something that tends to work well, and that's why I'm showing this, you can keep repurposing it. I'm not saying every week, of course, but if in 3-4 months down the road you want to reuse that content, nothing wrong with that. You can reuse your content. People don't realize that you can repurpose it and reuse it for the same things. 6 months from now, people aren't going to remember that video that you posted. So you can reuse content. And that's why I liked picking this one for that particular topic, because the Coca-Cola reuses the bears in particular in lots of their stuff. So it is good because they reuse something that people like. Sorry, I thought it was. So again, I like showing this in particular commercial because it hits that funny bone, of course. It also hits that nostalgic type thing. So a lot of us know the Coca-Cola Bears. It is very well known what they are. They tend to come out more often during Christmas, of course. So it's one of those where it kind of hits a few different things and they reuse the same person over and over. So this one is an example of a Canva hack. So this can be something that you can also do on for products and stuff as well. So you can use it to show your products. I like this one to show because it shows a cool little hack. It also shows another way to create videos. This is a TikTok, a short. So it is a short form content, which is another type of video. The other thing that I like is it is an example of an average Joe making a video.
Here are 2 ways that you can add apps to your Canva account. Let me show you. The first method is through Canva homepage. Click Discover Apps from the top left menu, and you can now browse through all Canva's apps and integration by category. Simply choose the app you wish to add, and you can integrate either directly in an existing design or a new one. The second method is through the design panel. Open one design that requires app integration. Click More Options from the left side menu, and you can now see all the apps available. Choose one of your choice. You will see a brief description of the app. Read the description and hit the use button at the end of it. Then you might be asked to log into your account, or you might have to sign up for a new account if you don't already have one. The newly added app integration will now show up on your left side menu, and that is it.
Okay. So the other reason I like showing this one is because if you're a person who doesn't like being in front of the camera all the time, you can do something like this where you show yourself and then you record something like this. It could be about a product, whatever the scenario may be, that comes to mind for you, and you talk over it. So basically you're talking in the background, you're not the center of attention anymore. The big reason why you should show your face first, which sounds weird, but it's true. The algorithms in most social media work better when they see a face in a video than anything else right off the bat. So those first couple seconds, if you show your face, you'll tend to hit more views. So it's just a quirk that I know that works well. So if you're not that person who likes being that person, there's other ways to get around it, which is always good to know.
Here are 2 ways that you can add
I'll
apps.
stop it. Oops.
Here are 2 ways that
Okay, so this is a few lists of different ways that you can actually take videos. So this is me, myself, in most of these scenarios. You will see some nuances in them, and that's why I like showing these ones. So some of them are, when I very first started taking videos with TikTok, I am not usually a person to be in front of a camera. So when I got told I had to do it, it was a huge thing for me to overcome. And to be honest, it does take a little bit. You get used to it. I will tell you, of course, a few tricks that I personally use to do it. They might not work for you, but they worked well for me. So that's where I'll share my personal experience from as well. So this is one type of video that I like doing that works well. It is very simplistic. It's where you face the camera, record your video. It builds trust. It humanizes your brand and yourself. And it's a low barrier to create stuff. So it's a very simplistic, this is literally in my office here, over there actually, but in my office here. All I did was hold the camera up and take a video. So that's the simplicity of it, is you don't have to go all in. There is simple ways of creating content. So I like showing this one. I think this is the one that it is. This is one of my first ones. So you'll notice, and that's why I put this one in here. I am personally more, I'll say jittery. So I move around lots, and as you can tell, I'm a hands talker. But in this video, you can tell I'm a little bit more closed off, is the easy way to explain it, compared to some of my other videos later on. So I like showing this one because it humanizes that everybody has to get used to things like this when they're doing it, so.
Hey guys, I am back on here. This is Brandy. I want to explain who we are again. We are Community Futures Twatna Region. We are a non-for-profit organization. We here offer small business services in different ways, training programs, flexible business loans, regular business networking events, and so much more. We're here to help you guys achieve all of your business goals. And I mean all of them. There's so many ways we can help you. If you need more information, find us on the internet. We have Facebook, Instagram, website, obviously TikTok, so many more different ways. If you guys have any questions, just send us a message. Thank you.
Okay, so I do like showing this one. Yes, it talks about what we do again, but that's part of what I have to do. So as you can tell, I'm very closed off. I'm not as relaxed. I am also more scripted, as you can tell. So I was actually reading off a script off my screen. So that's where you can actually tell my eye movements back and forth. I have learned that scripts don't work for me personally. I am better if which very similar with courses, if I wing it. If it's something that I know about and can talk about, it makes it a lot easier for me. So if it's the stuff that you know, which is usually your own business, it makes it a lot easier to talk about. The only other thing that I do is I usually have a few key points that I want to hit that I have somewhere close by, so I can go, yeah, I hit that, yeah, I hit that, yeah, I hit that. That is the way I find it works for me. That might not be the case for you. So there is ways you can make it. Of course, it is trial and error. It's gonna happen.
Hey guys.
I hate that. So this is another one. This one I did take off somewhere else. 'Cause again, I have no product. So this one I liked because it's a showcase type. So it is how you can actually showcase your product to bring attention to your products. It is very simple. It has no person in it, has no talking in it. It is just a video with music. So very, very simple.
She's a benefit now.
So I like that one because it is essentially stop motion in the end. So what it is a quick video of them actually putting the product there. Then all they're doing is actually taking a bunch of pictures and putting them all together to a video, which is stop motion. So there's, again, other ways you can do things. You don't always have to be that person. There is other ways to show what you can do and what you're capable of.
She's the best.
So this is another way to create videos. This is one that I created purposely for this course. It is another way to do it. So this was created through Canva. This is where you can outsource if that's the scenario. You can build them yourself as well. So this is another way to outsource products. So if you're somebody who doesn't have the time, who has a marketer, who's hired a marketer, this is one way they can do it as well. So it's just software based. This one I quickly made in Canva. It is pretty simplistic. This one I have no sound. I usually suggest sound, but if you can't, this is another way. Sound with the algorithm just tends to work better, to be honest, but I wanted to show you other ways. So very simple. Basically, it's a bunch of text on the screen, simple background that changes every little bit. So this one is super handy for us to kind of throw up as a awareness type of thing, like, hey guys, we're still here. This is what we do type of thing, which sometimes that's what you need. Also, if you're kind of short on time and you don't have time to make a whole bunch of videos that week, you could do something like this so that you still have video content if that's what you're looking for. Again, picture content works well, nothing wrong with that. Videos just tends to be that creeping thing, so I talk about it a little bit more. So this is another one. This one I made, it is just a, at the time, trending sound. I don't talk at all in it. I literally throw some text on the screen and point. I tried to point in a certain rhythm with the beat of the music. So again, if you don't want to be talking, there's other ways to get around it. This is when I very first started, and I started kind of playing with different ways to make videos. So again, that one's very simplistic. So it's one of those where, again, if you don't want to be that talking, you have other ways of doing it. It shows a little bit of personality. With the viral sound, it has that potential to gain some more views. And because this one's super short, it tends to increase replay time. Because it's so short and sweet, not everybody catches it, and it tends to get replayed once or twice, which is always good. Nothing wrong with replays. You want those. Those are good. So again, another way, if you don't want to be talking, there's ways around it. So a touch on this, it is not something we tend to do, but it is something that I've seen works really well for other businesses, which is video stream or live streams. So you can do it in most of these. Instagram's the most common, as well as Facebook, that you see it, where you actually can go live with real-time footage. So if you're a place like us personally, I've done it here and there, but again, not a whole bunch. If you go to conferences or any big events, you might want to go live for a couple minutes. The nice part about going live is you get that instant view, as well as it saves that video and you can reuse the content, which is always nice. So basically you're creating content as well as ability to reuse it. It can be something simple, can be something a little bit fancier. A good example that I like using is actually a boutique. They're not part of our region, but they are a small boutique based out of Sherwood Park. And they actually do weekly lives for try-ons because they're a women's clothing boutique. Most of it was all online. They do have a store now, but they were started online. So that way they have different size models, so you can actually see what clothing looks like on them. So they've done a really, really good job at doing live to make it worthwhile for people to come to their website, because then they can actually see the clothes on humans. They talk about the fits, the different styles, they explain them all. So something where, you know, maybe you have a new product. If you go live to be able to explain it and have that little bit of consistency with it, with, hey, you know, might be every couple weeks, whatever the case may be, if it's a new product, and talk about it, it might work well for you. The other reason that it's good is because if you go on and talk about it live, you have that video and you can repurpose it and reuse it again. So it's always good. Nothing wrong with it. So this is kind of a quick little how-to. If you want to be streaming, you do tend to want a tripod. Reason being, it's easier. I'll be honest, it is easier. Being authentically you. So if you mess up, especially on a live, keep in mind you're live, but it doesn't matter. It makes you authentic. It makes you you. Big thing that I usually suggest before you go live, if you do, is get a little bit more comfortable on camera. Reason being, if you tend to, again, I talked about that closeness. If you tend to be a little bit more, and it doesn't work as well. If you're a little bit more relaxed and used to it, it tends to do that. The other thing that it does do is it helps the authority of your business. So it helps people realize and trust in you. Try and look at your camera, which again, that's why I warned you I was looking away. This scenario, I have multiple screens, so it makes it a little bit harder. Promote before you stream. So the other thing that's really good is having a couple posts coming up to a live event, if that's what you're doing, saying, hey, we're going live at 2 p.m. today. You could post it first thing that morning or the day before. Then it helps people know that you're doing it. And I've talked about this, repurposing it. So reusing it, reposting it, it gives you a little bit more content, which is always good too. So it kind of gives you that live as well as repost purposes. So this is a live streaming checklist. This is for a little bit high end, but I did want to put it on here because it's got a few good little things that I found. Testing equipment is a big one for me. Making sure your stuff works, making sure you have enough room on your phone is another big one. If you start live streaming and you don't have enough room, it's going to cut out and it's not going to look good. Arranging your hashtags beforehand or figuring out at least some. And if it requires a follow-up, follow up. The one thing that why I have this part is an example is your backdrop. I know it sounds weird, but an example is when we go to conferences, we usually have a big backdrop. I usually tend to try and record in front of it because it has logos. It has branding built into it. So if you use good backdrops, it kind of works well for you. Having a call to action, if required, is the way that I word it. So if it's a, hey, this is a new product, this is a new line, this is a new service, whatever the case may be, check it out. That call to action to bring people more information, bring them to your website, Facebook, whatever the case may be, so that they can maybe hopefully buy a product, book a service, that type of thing. Images. So images are still very popular. Instagram is mostly image-based. Facebook is starting to be quite a bit more image-based than just copy. You can use them for a multitude of things. They can be something simple and eye-catching and have some copy. It can be, like I talked about earlier, memes, that type of thing. Any type of imaging brings people's attention a little bit, of course. You can have something simple like this. You could have, if you're a bookstore, something like this with a little bit of type over it. That type of thing. You can go super fancy and go straight into Canva and create a whole new fancy, whatever the case may be. So it kind of depends on what you're kind of looking for and how you're going to use the images. I'll talk a little bit more about images. Hold on. Go back. There we go. So they're really, really good for creating eye-catching things. Sometimes if it's a product photo, making sure that you kind of have a decent little setup going. Good quality, clear pictures, of course, is always important. If you're using other content, making sure it's not branded or you're taking it away from somebody is a big part of it. Especially if it's their own personal. So a good example of that is paintings and stuff like that. You can't really use those because those are their stuff, right? Canva is a good source. The other one that I actually like, there's a couple other ones. There's Shutterfly. There's not as much free on there, but there is some. Pixels is a really good one for free pictures if you're looking for like stock images. Nothing wrong with that. They are free. They do suggest a donation. I've had to use a couple here and there because there's sometimes where it's just where it is that you need it, right? So there's a bunch of different ways you can get pictures. Of course, taking your own is always the best option, but it's not always an option at the same time. So sometimes you need to create or use other stuff to just kind of fill in those gaps is the way I like explaining it. The way we suggested is an 80% to 20%. So 80% of the time you're posting educational, funny, that type of thing, interactive stuff. And then 20% of the time is when you're actually trying to sell your product or service or whatever you're trying to promote, of course. So that's the 80-20 rule in marketing. So most of the time you're trying to just keep people engaged in their attention so that when you do sell, they pay attention to you. User-generated content. It's becoming a little bit more common, but the way that I like talking about user-generated content is if somebody, the one that I like talking about the most, which tends to happen more often than I see, is if you're a hairdresser, there's lots of times somebody might post an after picture and be like, oh, thanks to hairsalon.com. And they'll tag them. That's user-generated content. So that if you reach out to that person and say, hey, can I share this to your page? Most of them don't mind, especially since they've already posted it. Or suggest to them, you know, can you tag me in that picture? That way it automatically pops up that you're the person they went and seen. The other thing that's really nice that you can use too for user-generated content is testimonials or Google reviews. A lot of people don't use that to their advantage, I find personally. So throwing the good reviews and good testimonials that you have from your existing clients and making a simple post about it, be like, look what people are saying about us. We're amazing. Nothing wrong with that. It makes it quick, easy content for you. Because yes, time is valuable to business owners. So it makes it that little bit easier to put content out there when you know a few tips and tricks like that. Google reviews is awesome, of course. The nice part is they're reviews for your business. So you can actually copy and paste it and throw it in there and say how many stars. So of course you want to pick the good ones, but it makes it easy for you. It can be just a colored background with what it says and a little copy on the top being like, hey guys, look what people are saying about us. We got a 4-star review today. Quick and easy. So it makes things a little bit easier for you. So this looks intimidating. And yes, it's hard to see. This is as big as I can make out. So this, I have a different version of this that I like suggesting to clients. But this is the best one I could find to put in here. So one that I'll be talking about a little bit later, which is kind of something similar to this, is actually a website that I like using, which I'll show you guys a few websites that I like using for creating content. So this kind of gives you a few ideas of things that you can use. So informing, as an example, media, polls, mentions, wrap-ups, awards. If you want awards, of course, tell your people. Nothing wrong with that. Inspiring, so photos, anything like that, stories, employee stories, customer stories. The other thing that you can do is entertain, which I talked a little bit about, memes, videos, anything funny questions, that type of thing. Educational, you could do some articles, some blogs. You could have a quick, like a mini series of a bunch of educational videos. Support, you can do live chats, Q&As if somebody asks you a question or it's a frequently asked question. You should have it somewhere that's handy. You can also put frequently asked questions as a post. Sometimes those come up handy. So it's like, hey, we get asked this question a lot. Here's your answer. So you can have multiple ways of creating posts. It's just thinking broad. So this is kind of gives you an idea of what I was talking about a little bit ago about that 80-20 rule. So this kind of shows you a little bit of that. Customer needs, customers' interests, your business objectives and propositions and values. So you're kind of right in that tiny center is your sell point, is why I have this on here. Where the two priorities meet is hoping where people are seeing your content is the easy way to explain it. So it is a little hard, I'm not gonna lie, but once you get into a rhythm and kind of figure out what works, you're golden. So here's a few tools. I'm going to be talking about a few of them in particular that I like using. I've used most of them to see if they work well for people, if they're user friendly. So I can say I've used most of them. So I can see how user friendly they are. So one, it works okay. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it still works. Nothing wrong with it. For what I need, it just didn't work for me. That's all. But for a little bit, for other people, might work perfectly well. Is Kaza. They're a video and editor, slideshow editor. Canva, I use Canva on a daily basis. You can get a free version. Nothing wrong with it. You're just a little bit more limited to what you can use. URL shortening. So if you have a really long URL you're trying to sell, it's really big, you can use this to make it nice and sweet and simple. DrumUp is a content creation, so it kind of helps drum up some ideas. ChatGPT, of course, everybody by rights should know about them. They are super handy for creating copy and blogging. Same with Copy AI. They're really good for creating that as well. The only thing I always say with any type of AI copy or anything to that effect, read it yourself, edit it, make it sound you. I use it to come up with ideas and then completely edit it into me. I use it a lot actually in creating these because it helps me figure out where I should be talking, like what points I should be talking about what, or it might help me add in, oh yeah, I should have talked about that. So sometimes using it for other purposes is handy, but always edit and read it yourself. If not, it will sound AI. It will be robotic and people can tell. Pixels, I talked about stock photos. They are awesome. They have all kinds of photos, just about anything you can think of, they have it. Which is, again, that one's completely free compared to Canva. Canva, if you want a lot of photo issues or a lot of their capabilities, you would want the paid version. It is not super expensive. I always suggest try the beginner, try the free, and if you find you use it enough or need it, then go to the paid. There is another one that's coming out, but I haven't dug into it enough to talk about it, so I'm not going to talk about that one. So this is an example of the first one that I was talking about. They're a really good video maker. So if you have a bunch of short, chopped up videos that you want to put all together, these guys are really good for that. Canva, like I talked about, super, super easy, probably the most user-friendly that's still out there. I did find their last update kind of wasn't a huge fan of it. It works. It's just not quite as user-friendly as it used to be. This is the drum up. So this one helps you kind of come up with ideas is the nice part, which I do have another one that I'm going to talk about. I keep forgetting to add it in here that helps come up with ideas because I know sometimes that is the harder part is trying to figure out those ideas. ChatGPT. So these are just screenshots so you can kind of know that they're out there, what they kind of look like when you're searching. Pixels, they do have a drop down here for videos as well. So if you're looking for any kind of stock video, if that's what you're kind of needing, they're super handy for that too. Literally type in pretty much anything and stuff will come up. Scheduling and planning. So this is a huge part of it that I find a lot of people don't put the time into, is the way I like explaining it. So planning your content and scheduling it. It will make your life easier if you take the time to do it ahead of time. Then the day of at 10 o'clock, you're going, oh, I need to make a post. Let's figure something out real fast. Usually you don't get as much pickup from it. It's not as consistent, that type of thing. So taking the time to kind of figure it all out first helps. So this is an example. Who are your people? A lot of people don't think about who their people are, being very specific as possible. The way I like suggesting is literally make what they call customer personas. So what customer personas are is literally you're figuring out who they are, what's their age range, where do they live, what likes do they have, what are their hobbies, do they have family, are they married, or do they have kids, that type of thing. So figuring out where your people are will actually help you. Reason being, you need to be posting where your people are. If your age group is a little on the more older side of things, Facebook might be your better option. If your age group is a little bit more in that mid-age, Instagram is going to be a really good option. If you're looking for fairly young, you're going to want to be on TikTok. That's just the way it is. So there's certain age groups that tend to work best for certain other areas. You should at least be on Facebook. If nothing else, they are still the biggest one out there. They still have the most people still engaged. What are your objectives? What are you trying to do with posting this stuff? Do you have an objective in mind? Do you have a goal in mind? I usually suggest to start at least try 2. It's a small goal. It's a starting point. Break down those objectives a little bit more into your actual goals. Are you looking to increase followers by 10 this month? Nice, good, small little goal. What is the type of content you want to produce? Are you going to be producing more pictures? Are you going to produce videos as well? Are you going to be doing a little bit of everything? Figuring out exactly what you're capable of as well, which is huge. Because if you're not a video person, you might not want to do it. But knowing what you want to produce is huge. How often are you publishing? Yes, they say publish every day. We are well aware most business owners cannot do that. We're not. How often are you publishing? A good example that I usually say at least 2 to 3 times a week on whatever platform is your most consistent. It can be whatever you need it to be, but at least 2 to 3 times a week. So that's where scheduling comes into play. If you want to post more, is it just pictures? Is it stories? Is it reels? What are you putting out there? What will your content promote? Figuring out that month maybe. So the way I like explaining it for people who get started, and I still do it sometimes, if I'm having one of those months where I'm like, okay, I just need to figure this all out and write it all down. Print out a calendar, a blank calendar, literally. Figure out, put some notes on the sides, this week, we have a 25% off sale on this. We have a promotion on this service this month. Then you can break it down to what you're posting and literally write in date and times and what your idea is. So it gives you an idea before you even start planning everything. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It's just so you have somewhat of a plan down on paper. It helps a lot in the long run. Once you get used to it, it makes it a little bit easier. Throwing in those theme days, nothing wrong with that. Post on holidays. It's easy content. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Valentine's Day. You got a free post, basically. So using that capability that's there already, just a simple calendar, figuring out what you want to do for the whole month. If you're a person who needs to plan more ahead, of course, do more. I'm a person who's like, Kate, beginning of the month's coming up, I got to plan this month. Because our stuff changes monthly. So depends on what courses are going to be coming out, what we're trying to hit a little bit more, that type of thing. So this is an example of calendar. This is what I use. This is my personal one that I use. I have it color coded for channels, my goals, my notes, very simple, nothing special. I write in what I'm posting, what times I'm posting, that type of thing, what the plan is. I actually use multiple of these, I'll be honest, because I do multiple channels, like companies. So I have multiples for that reason, but yours can be very simple, nothing wrong with that. So it's one of those where if you're planning ahead and you're prepared, it makes it a little bit less daunting as well. Scheduling. People don't realize there's tons of options out there. Facebook Meta works perfectly fine. That's what I tend to use. It works for me. Facebook Meta Suite is you can post your Instagram and you can post your Facebook. The only thing that it won't work vice versa, which I still don't know why they won't fix, is Instagram Reels. It will not post. It'll only post Facebook Reels. So you still actually have to go into Instagram and post the Reels. I don't know why. They just need to fix it. There's other ones that you can pay for. If you have a pro version of Canva, they actually have a schedule built in as well. These are a few other ones that I found worked really nicely. Buffer.com I found was really good priced. CoSchedule was really good priced. Trello was really good priced. So if you have multiple platforms, or like me, if you're a digital marketer, sometimes something like this is really handy. I have used them in the past when I have a lot more things to be posting for. It tends to help me a lot. Right now, I'm only posting about 3 or 4 businesses. Business Meta Suite works perfectly fine for me. I can show you where it is and where to find it, which is part of the somewhat of me demonstrating things for you a little bit later on. So I will show you how to find it. So this is an example of Meta, how you can actually plan things and post things. So this is an example, this was from June of actually like last year, so, but it's still relevant. So this is in my entire week planned posts. The top ones with the circles are my stories. The other ones are actual posts. So it makes it easier. This is automatic. So literally that time of day, it posts it. It's done. I check on it, make sure everything's good, check my comments. It makes my life a lot easier. So I plan out the entire week, plan out the entire month, whatever works best for you. But I plan it ahead of time. Then it's just a kind of check on it scenario. Don't leave it, but check on it. See if there's comments, see if there's likes. If there's comments, answer your comments. If it's just one of those where it's like, oh, cool, give it a thumbs up even. Just engaging back with your audience. So this is the one that I was talking about as well. This is an example. It kind of gives you a little bit more insights, I find, is why I like it a little bit more. So if you're a person who likes to dig into the insights, what's kind of going on, this one works, I find, really, really well for that. Yes, I just noticed your comment. Sorry, ChatGPT is excellent for helping with business plans. 100%. Buffer, this one you can get a free one. It is one social media only. So that's why I like this one, is it kind of gives you a nice little trial to see if it's something you want to get. It's super simple. I found it very user-friendly, very simplistic. It is really good one to try, because they have a free one, but it is only one, of course, but it's a good one to try to see if it's something that you prefer. These guys, you can request a demo with them, so you can try it a little bit as well. It is more of a shorter trial than Buffer, but I find they do work really well as well. So they're a little bit more, I find, in-depth than Buffer is, but they're still another good one if that's the way you're wanting to go. Trello, it is a little bit more team designed, so that's why I added this one, is if you have multiple employees that are posting, this one works really well for that. So it has the ability to have multiple employees posting at the same time. So this one is a good one. This is where I kind of get some of my content ideas. This is a few of them. A lot of people don't use Google, which they don't think of. But if you literally type in what you're kind of thinking about posting, it'll show you some suggestions. So nothing wrong with that. It's quick and easy. It can be used for stuff like this. People just don't think about it at the top of their head. The other one that I really like personally is Answer the Public. That one can be paid, but it is completely free as well, which I do usually. It is one that I like showing. Basically, you ask it a question and it gives you a whole bunch of ideas based on that question as well. Or something simple like the one I tend to use, which I'll show you guys as well, is soap making, and it shows you a bunch of post ideas about making soap. So it kind of gives you a nice little spider web of ideas. Major questions on any of this so far? No? We're good?
I have one.
Go for it.
Had to find my button, sorry.
No, all good.
Do you talk about MailChimp at all? Like, or is this more just for getting it out there, not how to use MailChimp to get emails directly out to people?
So this is more of content creation. That's more of newsletters and stuff like that, which nothing wrong with it. MailChimp we do use here personally. There's nothing wrong with it.
But you could use this to build your emails, right?
Yes, you can use Biff,
Okay.
you can use Canva, you can use a multitude of things. So you can use a lot of things. MailChimp is super handy. The big thing is you have to have all your emails, of course.
Yeah. Okay,
A
cool.
lot of people do use it for like a blog. So we create a blog to their website and kind of make a email version of it to send out to their people to hopefully bring them to their website to read on about it too. So make sense?
Awesome. Thanks.
Nope, not a problem. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing this guy for right now. So I am going to bring up some stuff now. We are going to share.
Will you be sending us links for all these as well? Or just having the replay and we can watch it again?
You can do that. The other thing that I usually do after these is, which normally I run them, so I send them out myself, but I usually send the slideshow as a PDF to John, and then John can forward it out to all of you guys.
Awesome, because there's a lot of information here.
There is, and that's this one. Usually I do this one in person, but the weather has been so crappy. I didn't want a chance driving.
Right.
Last time I went to go somewhere, the weather was so horrible we had to cancel the day before because it was one of the blizzard weekends where it was just
Yeah.
a disaster. I was like, not happening. So no, I usually send them out as a PDF to John afterwards, and then John forwards them to you guys. So
Nice. Thanks.
So no, 100% you guys get to see it. Can you see my big, beautiful Google screen?
Yes.
I have a tickle in my throat. I think my kids got me sick. I have a feeling. Okay. So bear with me because I have lots of these all over the place. No, I just remember them off the top of my head. So first one we will talk about, just because a lot of people like it, is ChatGPT. So I like using this an example, which I'll make a new one to start a new one. But this one I like using because I have a lot built up on it. So it's one that I kind of play around with. It is a event space. So I kind of tried to find one that I normally don't come across as much, just to kind of show you some ideas. It is an event space. I typed in modern. It's in Athabasca, which is one of our regions. Is at Athabasca County. Good for parties, a little bit smaller than like a huge hall. So kind of, I come up with sounds weird. I come up with a business to try and use it as an example. So an example right here, the big thing with ChatGPT or any AI is good prompts. If you don't have a good prompt, it tends to not give you as much as you want. So an example, create 3 Facebook posts for a modern space available for rent. This space is good for parties, office meetings, small intimate weddings, pop-up events. It's in the heart of Athabasca. So this is what it gave me. So it literally gives you stuff. Again, if you use ChatGPT, I always 100% suggest reread it, re-edit it, but at least it gives you some copy ideas if you're bad at trying to come up with those words like I am. Here's another one. So again, it spits me out 3. Gives me a little bit more stuff. I asked it to write 3 more, see what it would do. Same thing, gives me 3 more. So I gave it an example of one that it gave me and asked it to rewrite it, because sometimes we just want different. Nice part with doing that is it keeps all that info and just keeps adding on to it. That type of thing. So the other thing that I did a little bit further down, so it did some Christmas ones for me. I wanted some motivational quotes for this small space that kind of go well to make that kind of in-between content where I'm not selling, but I'm trying to kind of keep them engaged. It was the only thing I could kind of come up with off the top of my head at the time. So it literally came up with some quotes for me to use for event spaces like this, like your vision, our space, together we can make magic happen. So nice and simple and easy. So again, other things that it can make you start thinking of other things and come up with other ideas. So then it broke it down for me, which is, again, you prompt it to break it down. Example that I used is a small business had a yoga retreat, so I stole their post for this purpose. Is I wanted them to create some posts based on this yoga that was happening at an event. So it gave me a breakdown of that event of what's kind of going on with that post. So you can use your posts and actually add them in now, which is super handy, that you've already made, and it can give you some ideas of what copy you might want to use. And it just keeps going like this. So it's got a lot of ideas. Same thing, create these, create that. So it's just prompting it. The nice part is it saves them all. So as you can see, I use it. So I like showing a little bit of an example of ChatGPT on how it kind of works. So this is kind of one that I tend to use fairly often for this. Create copy for small I use this one a lot, I'm not gonna lie, because I find it works easy for stuff to come up, is soap making. Company. Handmade, local. Natural, whoops. The nice part is I have this other handy thing, called Grammarly, because I suck at spelling sometimes, especially when I'm on the move. It doesn't like that word. Ah, there we go. So this one's a quick, easy one. I would go into, of course, more detail, but this is just a quick, easy example. So make some copy for small soap making business, handmade, local, natural products. And it will come up with some ideas. The more you put in with ChatGPT, the more you get out of ChatGPT. So the more specific words you use, the more they'll use those words. So putting in there like where you are, if you want your address, your website. So example, it shows me all this stuff. It puts in emojis, which is sometimes handy. So it kind of builds off of you as well. So again, the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. So simple, easy. Say make a new product. Post for soap. I put Easter design soap, new product. So it gives me some prompts for it. Of course, again, you'd want more. I'm keeping it short for the purposes of sharing with you guys. You'd want to put in what's kind of in there, that type of thing. If it's your own product, you'd want to put a little bit more detail of your own product. If it's a service, of course, put in more information on what that service is going to be. So that gives you a quick little example of ChatGPT. It's nothing too crazy, but it shows you what it can kind of do for you. The other one that I like, which I talked about, is Answer the Public. I love this one for creating ideas. So this is what it looks like. I have a free account. I never use the paid, and I'll show you what the difference is into it. So again, I always use this because I find it works well for all these examples because it's a very generic thing. Soap making. Help a big spell. Stop making. It always wants this. I just hit exit and it will march you. Once more. Okay. I do. Sorry, I was wrong. Thinking of a different one. So this small business soap making. So what this does, let's find a better one. I'm going to stick with the soap stuff. So usually it gives me more. Today it's being a little bit, I'll say testy. So the more you put in, again, the more you'll get out of. So an example, so this brings information off of the internet on people asking these questions is basically what it's doing. So I like the wheel view. They give you lists and tables as well. I like the wheel view. It's not how you have to use it. Again, the more you put in, the more you get. So free version, you get one wheel. Paid versions, you get these outer edges. I use it to come up with ideas is all. So I asked it how to make soap. So it asked me that, how to make soap at home, how to make soap from scratch. how to make soap with natural ingredients, how to make soap with lye, how to make soap step by step. And it shows me the results that people are looking for in this similar thing. The other thing that it shows you, which if you're doing ads and paying for ads, it shows you a cost per click with those keywords. So that's the other nice part, is if you're paying for ads, it gives you a little bit of insight on those ads as well. I want to see if I can find a better example. Being stupid. Never mind, it's being stupid today. The other part that's nice about this is you can actually save this image and download it. So you can save it and go back to it and read up on it a bit more. The other thing that you can do is click on it and it will actually take you to the links that it's the searches that people are getting when they've typed those. So you can actually see what's showing up in Google with those questions. So it kind of gives you some ideas of what to make, what people are searching, other terms they're using. So it kind of helps with keywords, but it also helps with some ideas what people are looking for when they search these questions. So that's why I like them. It's my Zoom bar's in my way. I'll show you this guy. So this is Buffer. I talked a little bit about it before. I'm going to kind of make this a little short and sweet just because we're on Zoom. Usually I go into graver details. Nothing wrong with it. So this is kind of who they are, what they do. So I wanted to bring up the pricing because I find these guys are a little bit nicer to start if it's something that you're looking for, is this. So this is your scheduling content. This is their pricing. As I recall, it is US based, so we do pay a little bit more. But again, you can try a free version and it's forever. You do only get so many posts, so many ideas, one content, AI assistant. So it is a little bit more limited, but it is an awesome one if you want to look into getting a paid for version. The other thing I'm going to show you is Facebook. So I am going to go to us, which is Community Futures Twatna Region. So this is what your business page should look like. If you are not on a proper business page, you will not get this and it needs to be switched to a business page. Reason being, this right here is what you want to be seeing. It gives me Ads Manager, Ad Center, Business Suite, and Professional Dashboard. Yours might be a little bit lower if you don't use it. Your Meta Suite, could be down in these suggestions. I've had it happen with people. So if you don't see Meta Suite, Meta Business Suite, it might be down in here a little bit further. It will be on the left side. If it's not right at the top, it'll be in these suggestions and I'll show your common and you hit the drop down and it would be listed in here is most common where it is. So the reason that I want to show you this is the built-in planner. So it gives me ads, managers, notifications, insights, all different kinds of stuff. So this is the in behind the scenes of your Facebook and your Instagram. This is the big thing I want to show you. So this is our planner. As you can see, it is very full. We do post a lot. We have a dedicated marketer. So that does make a difference, of course. So the reason that I wanted to show you this though, is because it shows you what we're posting. So it gives you an idea. Yes, again, we post a lot. I don't expect that of all of you. Again, we have a dedicated marketer. It makes a difference. So a lot of these, as you can see, are funny. There's not too much. That's our sell point. The other thing is after a while, it will start suggesting times for you on your different platforms. So this one, we should actually be posting on Instagram at 8 o'clock on this day, because people tend to see it most often. We had the most interaction. So it does start suggesting times for you, which is super handy when people are seeing things. Again, this one's 6 p.m. on Facebook. It is pretty simple to use. So I scrolled down a little bit just because yours would be blank if you don't use it. You would see maybe some of these date and times. If you haven't used it much, you might not. You will see this little schedule thing pop up. It has a little drop-down menu. That is where you can schedule a post, you can schedule a story, and you can schedule a reel. Again, the only quirk that I find with this is it won't post Instagram to Instagram for reels. It only posts to Facebook. Not sure why they have it. It's been like that for a while. I wish they would change it because for marketers, it would be super freaking handy and any small business owner. So example I'm going to show you in this case, again, I'm not going to post it. I'm just going to kind of show you the prompts to post it, is scheduling a post, which is your most common that you're going to do. So it comes up with this screen because our Instagram is connected. If your Instagram is not, it'll just show you Facebook. It'll show you the date and the time that it suggests. It always comes up at 10 p.m. I mean 10 a.m. all the time. Change it to whatever you think might work best. Sometimes you can play around and see what times works best. Sometimes you, at the beginning, you kind of have to trial and error, basically. You can change your date and time, whatever need be. You can change your time, of course. You can also change the date and time of your Instagram if you're cross-posting, which is super nice. So say your Facebook, they tend to be more early risers. They might be 7 a.m. people. Your Instagram might be, which I find very common. I think it's a mom thing, about 3:30. Moms are sitting waiting for their kids to get out of school, the parents, that type of thing, their dad, whoever the case may be. They're scrolling on their phone waiting for the bell to ring. It is a very popular time to be on social media. I'm not gonna lie. So posting maybe at that time might work better for you. In this scenario, again, because I'm not actually planning anything, we're gonna hit cancel. It's annoying because it keeps it at the bottom. You do have to scroll up. I don't know why. Right here is where you'll see two things, your ad photo and your ad video. Your ad photo is going to be your most common. You can put files on here. Most of the time it's pulling from either, because again, you can get this app for your phone as well. So you can pull photos from your phone, or if it's on your PC, you can pull photos from your PC. Same thing with video. If it's through your app, it'll pull your phone. If it's on your PC, it'll pull your PC. So I'm going to say upload from desktop. We're going to steal this guy. He's actually for somebody we're working with here. It's a picture of their office. Again, I'm not going to post it. So there's my picture. Simple. It shows me the preview on this side. In this case, it wants me to crop it. In this case, again, I'm not actually posting it, but you can go edit and it can give you options for cropping. Most common that you're going to see is this one is your recommended, which is the size for social media. So I'm going to apply it just for the purposes of, and it'll shrink it down. So it'll automatically crop it to that size. You type in your text. Again, for the purposes of showing you guys. The other thing that I always suggest, hashtags. So if you actually click on that little hashtag button, super handy, and you go popular, it's not going to show you much, but you can search hashtags. The other thing that you can do is if you've been recently using them, you can hit recent and it'll show you hashtags you've used. The other thing that it'll do is if you look, it'll show you how many-ish posts on average those hashtags are using and where. So like this one, it's on Facebook, it's not on Instagram, that type of thing. So this one is, we use it more common for Facebook. That's where most of our people are. So that's why lots of them are Facebook. But if you're both, it will start showing you for both.
Brandy. So at one time was Facebook not hashtags? Like, is that new? I always thought hashtags were Instagram and then Facebook, we just didn't do them on there.
When Facebook bought Instagram, that's when it became more common.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So a lot of people aren't using it. It is common for people to not use it on Facebook because it used to not be a thing. When Facebook come about, hashtags were not even in existence. I grew up in the time of Facebook come out. So yes, I'm very well aware of that. So no, it is a newer thing to Facebook. It is used in their algorithm. It is also used in their search. So if somebody searches a specific hashtag, or searches specific words, it'll bring up posts with that word in it. So
So
that's
even if you don't like it, it's to your advantage to use
it
it.
is to 100% your.
It's so cluttery. Ugh.
Yes, I agree. There's a way to
All
make it
right.
a little bit neater. So I'm going to show you the search capability. So I'm going to put small b. It gives me a whole bunch of suggestions. It also shows me how many posts are made with that hashtag. I suggest usually a bit of both, a bit of posts with lots and a bit of posts with less. Reason being, it kind of gives you a good medium, I find. Personally, that's what I find works well. The other thing that you can do is hit save this little guy right here, which again, that's not how we do it, but that's fine. And it would show up in your save. So an example, I'm going to throw one on here. And if I hit saved, it shows it in there now. So common ones that you use, you can save. The other thing you should be doing on every single post is one unique hashtag for your business. Have your own business's hashtag. Even if it gets very minimal, it's one of those things that you should have your own hashtag. Reason being, if somebody wants to post about you, they'll do one of two things depending on their age, if they know how. Tag you or put in your hashtag, one of the two. So that's why you should always have one. Which was brought up, and I'll show you the way I like making it look a little bit nicer. So I'm going to throw just a couple in for this purpose, is I always give it a space in between so it's a little bit lower. Because I agree it does look a little cluttered, but it shows you on the other screen, it does look a little bit nicer if you give it that little bit of space. Because what you're thinking, I'm guessing, Stacy, is more of like this. And yes, I agree, it does look cluttered, but if you get a little bit of space, it looks a little bit.
That does look tidier.
Yeah, it's one of those little quirks that I found. I 100% agree with you. In this case, I'm not going to hit it. Again, I'm just showing you, but you'd want to schedule it. And it would schedule for that date and time that you set up. In this case, I'm going to hit cancel. I don't want this. So I'm going to discard this. So that's how you can schedule things quick and easy, built in with Facebook and Instagram. The one last thing I'm going to show you. We're going to stop sharing that guy for a second. I'm just getting it set up for you guys here. There we go. So this is Canva. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail because there is a lot you can do with Canva. It would take me like a couple days to show you all of the things in Canva. I don't have that time. I'm sure you don't have that time. So the big thing that I want to show you is that it is fairly simple. It is fairly user-friendly. The big thing is, and I always tell people this, play with it, get used to it. I find it doesn't work unless you consistently use it. I've had some people that are like, oh, I've used it a couple times, I don't like it. The more you use it, of course, the more you know it. The big thing that I want to show you is in templates. So right here on this screen, it gives you home, projects. So this is where your stuff is. Brand, if you have the pro version, you can make your own branding templates. So your colors, your copy, your text, your logos can all be in there, which makes it quick and easy. Only in the
So
paid version.
on that brand template, like I've started playing in that and it's overwhelming. How can you go over that like quick? Is that too big? You can't do a quick version.
No, I can show you kind of a quick version.
Thanks.
So I'm going to show you, so I got two because I run my own business as well. So I use this for multiple purposes. I'm going to show you CFs because that's who I'm promoting right now. So this is an example of the brand template. The brand page, sorry. So what this is our CF one that I use. So it has, yes, it has multiple logos because we deal with multiple things. So what you do is this is your logos. So wherever your logo is, you download your logo, you go add, and you upload it onto here. So here's my CF logo, open. So it's going to add that on right there. So at any given time, you can use these, which I'll kind of show you how that is. So yes, I have multiples. Yes, it's because this is the many different things we deal with. The other thing that I have is my colors. So it makes it a little bit easier to create posts in my branding colors for this particular business. This is our CF colors. So the big thing is you should know what they call your hex codes. What your hex codes are is basically the computer's coded version of your colors. Which I can show you on a blank page how to get those if you use them fairly often. But basically it's a coded number. That's what computers use to know what color your stuff is. This section right here is your fonts. Again, if you're properly branded, you have specific fonts you tend to use. Us here, very simple, Helvetica, Times New Roman, nothing fancy. If you have fancier stuff, you can put it on there. So the nice part with this is you can use it as a title, your subheading, that type of thing. So it gives you different font sizes right off the bat. Brand voice. So that is how you want stuff. If you use their built-in AI, which yes, they have built-in AI, on how it wants to sound. So the way I put it in here, our brand voice, we want it professional. We want it casual and friendly. We're a little bit more laid back. Our stuff is kind of business casual, not as super professional. So we kind of have a mix in there. If you use specific photos, which in my scenario, I don't have branded photos. We tend to use a lot of the just elements built in, but if you have specific photos you want to use all the time, you can throw them in here. Same with graphics, icons, that type of thing. Again, if you use them all the time. I find the most common you want filled out is your fonts, which you just type on it. You change your font to whatever it is. Ours is Helvetica now. Bold, italic, whatever. Title makes it a little bit fuller, of course. Your colors makes it easier to create posts, and your logos makes it easy to throw logos on. And if you want, I can show you how that kind of works in your brand. So I'll go back to templates. So I want to show you more so of this social media side of templates because that's what we're talking about. There's all kinds of other stuff in here. I'm going to focus on this because that's what our course is about. So the reason that I like talking about these particular templates is because it gives you the specific size of the post with these templates. So I'm going to use Facebook posts just because it's very generic. If I click on here, it's going to create a blank one in the exact size you need, or give me a whole bunch of templates that you can rearrange and edit. The quirk with them is if you see this little pro logo at the bottom and you have the free version, you cannot use that template. It has something in it that's built in the paid version. So that's where you start to get a little bit more limited, I find, with the free versus pro. So there's still lots of free, as you can see. It's a little bit of both. But this gives you templates if you're not a creative person on that end of thing. You can use these. So an example, this Valentine's Day sale one, you can go customize because this one was simple. And then you can edit it. So you can go in, you can change. Again, I'm not going to go into huge detail. They do have lots of really, really good tutorials on the Canva website on how to use this because there's a lot to learn. So I'm not going to go over the huge basics of how it all works. If you have a picture as an example, it will bring up the colors of the picture. You can also pick your own colors. So solid colors automatically. These are my branded colors. Right here, this will show you that little hex code that I was talking about. So if you click on one of our branded colors that I already have set up, yes. But if you click on it and you go to that little rainbow color wheel, it'll give you that code. Write it down, copy it, whatever the case may be. That's your hex code to put in your brand kit if that's what you're using. So I could change this to anything I want. And use it, download it, share it, done. You can also start from scratch. So you can create a whole new blank one and create whatever you want as well. It just gives you the proper sizing is the big reason. The other thing that's nice, again, more of the pro side, if you use it and like it lots, it's handy. You can go resize and you can create your different sizes and create an example, have this as a post and then create an Instagram story size for it too. And just change a few things, make a video, animate it, whatever the case may be. So I'm going to go back to this guy. Reason being, I want to talk a little bit more of the branding just because that was a question. So I have my branding all set up. Yes. So I can have all my logos built in right here. So you can actually see all my logos built in. I can throw my logo on at any time and there it is, done. I can resize it and move it. So my logo's automatically easy accessible. The other thing that's here is I have all my color codes, right? So if you hit shuffle, it'll change all these colors to your colors. Again, I can do it with another one. It'll rearrange it again to the colors that I want. So it makes it easy to change colors to your brand if that's what you're needing, is the big thing. The more often you hit shuffle, it'll keep changing those colors. It won't change the background picture because it's a picture. It won't change anything, but anything else, any of your text, any editable, so like say I have a square in here and I have it over here, just again, example reasons, and I hit the shuffle again, it'll change that square. So any elements, which is these guys, your shapes, your logos, your graphics, pictures, videos, all that stuff is in there. It'll change those if they're editable to be color changed. It'll change those to your branding colors as well. The more often you hit shuffle, the more it'll change them around a little bit for you and see what works best for you. The other thing in here is, again, the fonts that I talked about. So I throw in my heading, it is automatically in the heading size, which is most common is 32, and in our branded text right off the bat. So it makes my life a little bit easier when I'm creating content. From scratch, of course. If this is what you're using and you're using that, you can go in and actually physically change it. If I want to use this, so generate brand voice, basically it's kind of like ChatGPT. It's their version of ChatGPT essentially is what it is. So make a, so say Val in Val. I can't spell it today. I'm like, it's not coming out right. Sale 25% off all in-store items. And you can hit generate and I'll give you some copy. Again, always read it, always edit it. But it gives you a little bit of stuff built in. So what I like to do sometimes if I'm just using all at the same time, say I want this, I can copy it, of course. If you don't know the shortcuts, it's Control-C, makes it easy. And what I actually like doing sometimes is adding it into the notes. The other thing that I use this for is I have it in here and I edit it. So that is my copy for this post. So then you can kind of use both at the same time, which is kind of handy too. So it just depends on, again, what works best for you. Any questions on any of the things I've shown you in this last little bit?
I don't have a question, but that's really friggin' cool. I thought a brand was like a template background that was on the, like when you hit the brand, it put it all there. Now I understand. So yeah, I'm gonna have a blast.
Yeah, it does make your life a lot easier with branding your posts.
That's pretty cool.
I'm curious about Canva. I've never used it myself.
Okay.
My background is in Microsoft Publisher, actually.
Yeah.
And I used to do posters with Publisher.
Yeah.
And then at one point, I was asked to let somebody else do it using Canva.
Yeah.
And the quality just was not anywhere close
No, so the way that
Has it improved?
it has improved. The big thing is it depends on who's creating it, to be honest. Some people don't have the eye for creating things like posters. The big difference between like Publisher or Adobe Photoshop or any of those higher end, this is basically a simplified version of those. Does that make sense?
It does, and you know, it wasn't. I guess it wasn't the quality of the work. I mean, that's understandable. The person who did it wasn't a professional, but you know, the quality of the graphics didn't come out anywhere near as close.
No,
The
and that's part of it is because most of the graphics, so most of they call them elements, so graphics. That's what these guys are. So that's where this comes into play. It depends on who makes them. Because it is free based, you can upload your own. So it depends on who makes them. They are just like PNGs and stuff. So the more you blow it up, stretched out, that type of thing, it will edit, change them, that type of thing. So it depends on what you're using it for, on if it's going to work or not. If you're making like, are you talking big posters?
they were
Or more like paper size?
11 by 17.
So a little bit bigger, yeah. So I
Yeah.
find most common with Canva, nothing wrong with it, but anything bigger than your normal paper size, I do find it distorts a little bit. It also
Okay.
depends on, so there's this little download button right here. This right here, it depends on how they're downloading it. If, of course, which you're well aware of the different styles, so it depends on how they downloaded it, on how good of quality it's going to be as well.
Okay.
Make sense?
Thank you. That might explain.
Yeah. So like
I
if
may have to
they-
learn Canva.
Yeah, Canva is basically a non-graphic designer's best friend. If you don't know how to graphic design and create all your own stuff, this is your solution essentially. So for small business owners, it is super handy because most of them are no idea how to make stuff like that. They can use this to simplify things.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, not a problem. No, I totally understand where you're coming from. That's why I was like, from my end, yes, I understand. I would rather use, but I don't have the time to make my own lots of times, so I have to use things like this. So I kind of bounce back and forth between like the whole Adobe suite and Canva, depending on what I'm doing. So. Anything else? If you don't want to talk, you can ask it in the chat. I don't mind.
I have a question. From your experience of doing reels and posts, say on Facebook and Instagram, what do you find has the better traction, or from your experience, what has had the better traction?
Posts do well on both. Reels tend to do a little bit better on Instagram. Because Instagram is more that visual based than it always has been, where Facebook originally started with just typing your status. That's what it was originally. So that's why I find, and Instagram was always based more on visual. So Reels tend to do a little bit better on Instagram. If you want to start getting into Reels and stuff like that, TikTok is a very good one. It's been up and down on if it's going to stay around. Yes, but it is a good one to start dabbling in a little bit. Just example, when I started our TikToks, we usually got like a couple hundred views per post, and I usually do 1 or 2 a week. So not a whole bunch. We're not an avid, I don't have the time. I'll be honest. I don't have the time. There's a few times where I'm like, I haven't posted a month because I just haven't had a chance because I make all my own videos for it. Or we don't have much going on, like Christmas time. We had nothing going on to talk about. We weren't running courses. Nobody was going to find a business loan during Christmas. They were buying Christmas presents. On average now our videos get about 2,000 to 3,000 views.
And thank you for that. What's your experience with, I noticed on Instagram, if I want to share something, I use the remix feature.
Yep.
And then I brand so I do wellness. I'm a therapist and I do wellness. So I tag my business name. And I found there was a couple that I did, and I don't know if this was just because it was a popular remix. Like I had thousands of like views on it, and then I'll do another one and I'll have like 5. So I was trying to figure out, was it maybe the time of the day that I'm doing it? Maybe it's how I'm sharing the remix that I did it differently, or what's your experience with remixing?
I don't personally have a whole bunch of experience with Remix because with what we do here, we don't use it a lot. Lots of people don't talk about what we talk about, right? It's not as common. So more than anything, it's just something I don't dabble in. What I would dig into is what they call the analytics, so the in behind the scenes that I was looking at. So I'll quickly pop that guy back up here. So in your Facebook Meta, same thing with your Instagram. If you go to Insights and you go down to Content, so this is digging into your in behind the scenes, what's going on, what's seen. So this actually shows our views, our reaches, our interactions, our followers, all that jazz. So if you go down to Content, you can actually scroll through and see all that info. So you can actually see what you posted. So an example like this guy. So this one wasn't super huge. It's one of our courses. So it tells me what it is. It tells me all that stuff. It shows me when and how much. The other thing that it shows you is the date and time. So if you're thinking maybe it's the time, you can dig in to see what time it was. The other thing that you can do is see how many views you had and see maybe if you posted something slightly different in it, which is super handy. So basically it's digging in to see why did this post do better than this post? What was the reason behind it? And just trying to track it down. Because I know you're probably like me, you post a lot. So trying to remember what you posted sometimes is the worst part. So going in and kind of doing a little bit of digging to see why that one worked a little bit better might be good. Again, I don't know enough about Remix to say for sure. It could be something on the popular side. It is possible. My experience, I don't use it a lot is all, so I can't say for sure.
Okay.
But it is good idea to dig in and you can see why one versus another does better.
Okay, thanks. And for anyone who uses ChatGPT, I notice a lot of people using it now, and it's like you said, when you use it yourself, you can see the people that are using it, and I
100%.
recommend put that authenticity into it because it seems to do this similar emoji layout, and I'm
yes.
like, no double hyphens,
Yes.
please. And I just really
Yes.
encourage everyone to put your own spin
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, the idea of ChatGPT and why I talk about it is to give you an idea of what you might want to use. It's not something you should just copy and slap on. It is something to give you an idea of words or the type that you're trying to get at, to give you an idea of what you could talk about. For blogging purposes, same idea. It gives you an idea. Always go through and edit your own. People can tell now if it's AI or not.
Mm-hmm. If you have to do a bio, it's
Oh,
your
yeah.
friend, because we don't brag about ourselves. We don't talk about
No.
ourselves. So if you
No,
put it in,
and putting in
you read it. Yeah.
short versions of like things that you think you do well for a bio works really well to give you a little bit more, because it is hard, especially like example writing a resume, to say you're doing. Us as humans, none of us are the greatest at saying we do amazing.
Mm.
It is handy. The other thing that I like using it for, I'll be honest, is sometimes writing emails. Sometimes for me personally, I have a harder time for like reach out purposes to come up with ideas for like a good email, but still I go in and edit it, of course, so they know it's not some robot trying to email out.
Yeah, no, it saves business time. Like
It
I
does.
find that I'm like, create me a generic template to send out to
Yeah.
clients following a session. I save that in my Google Docs,
Yeah.
and then boom, it's done. Like it's
Mhm.
handy, and it doesn't seem to have a lot of empathy unless you feed it that.
Yeah,
So-
and that's the thing. The more you give it, the more it gives back. So it's one of those where it's a back and forth for sure. But whenever I talk about any AI, I try and stress you should always edit and make it your own.
I use my last question. Sorry, I know there's other people here. What about YouTube Shorts? Have you have any experience in that or
Um,
posting to YouTube? What are your thoughts on a YouTube channel for housing little mini videos and getting into the ads, I guess, marketing ads that could be there. What are your thoughts on that?
Nothing wrong with it, 100%. It's not something we utilize here enough personally. I am hoping, because I know like John's recording this one, but I do my own session, same idea. I'm hoping to start recording my own, or even just recording me talking like I would be presenting, to make a couple YouTube shorts of like a few tips and tricks. So I'm hoping that we brought in a little bit more into it. It's something I'm trying to dabble in, but we have a lot going on because it's spring. It's when we run a lot of classes. So it makes it a little bit harder. And I have many hats here. So nothing wrong with it. If you want to get into ads, the top ones I would say, my personal suggestion, again, it's from my experience. If you want to dabble in it a little bit, Google Ads is amazing. You can do awareness campaigns for usually pretty inexpensive. I usually say run it at least 3 months to see how it's doing. And throwing the other thing why I say Google is because it will throw your ads with Google onto YouTube too. So you kind of get a mix of a little bit more with Google Ads to start if you're just dabbling in ads. If you want to jump straight to YouTube, nothing wrong with it. People are on YouTube all the time. It's a very large platform. It's, I think, second to Facebook for users. Again, not everybody has to sign up for YouTube to use it though. So there's a lot of users they don't account for. But that's why I like suggesting Google Ads a little bit more, is your cost can stay fairly low. It's built into your Google Business Suite. So like your Google Business Profile, or Google My Business, whatever you still call it, because they changed it. It's built right into that, which is super nice. So it has already a bunch of your own info built into it. So it has your times, your company, it brings some highlights. You can build an awareness campaign. You can build all kinds of different stuff for usually pretty low cost to start, which is super nice. It throws it on Google searches. It throws it on apps. It throws it on YouTube, and I think there's something else. I just don't remember what it is off the top of my head. So it gives you a little bit of a broader start, I find. So the big one that it shows up in is if you can start working on your keywords, so main words that work well with your business that you want, especially anything local based keywords. So like where you are, stuff like that should be on there, of course. If you really input keywords into the Google Ads, it will start to reach those keyword people when people type in certain things. Like, again, it's one that I use fairly often because it's really commonly searched. Hair salon near me. It'll show up in that sponsored section right at the very top. So that's where you kind of tend, if you're lower in the Google search, it'll pop up a little bit higher for you with a little bit of paid ads.
Okay, thank you for that. And yeah, shout out for a future one of these on YouTube videos and how to make a short one and then pull some of the things to remix to the other ones. Like that would be,
Yeah,
I'd love to attend that.
I usually try and teach something that I've done before. I haven't dabbled in that yet. So maybe one day in the future, like I said, I'm hoping to get some YouTubes started and stuff with more of like a few shorts, because I run our TikTok, so they would transition nicely, as well as some more of stuff like this, but not quite as extensive, of course, but some little bit longer based videos of like, hey, you know, we have this course, this is what it kind of talks to us, here's a little sneak peek at it, stuff like that. So I'm hoping one day to dabble in a little bit more, but I'm not enough there yet to talk about it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And I appreciate this one being free to attend. Thank you.